left the movie in the mud. CAA clowns, bunch of low-life suits. Told them don't promote, now the whole crew getting screwed. Crowd work, hack, no bars, just TikTok smoke. Ohio small town kid turn Hollywood joke. Don't ever let Rife on another set again. He'll smile for the camera, then ghost his obligation. Started at 15, grandpa driving him to open mics. Cute story, but the mask slipped. Now we see the real type. Small town Ohio acting like he earned his stripes, but blew up on TikTok and forgot who changed his life. You beg the producers, please put me in the flick. Got the role and don't suck. Then pulled the ultimate trick. Contract said promoted, CAA said nah. So you went on every podcast doing backflips. Lauren Compton sitting right there. She was in the movie. You said not one word, acted like you never knew me. Joe Rogan couch talking about vampires and shit. Whole time the movie dying, you ain't say one lick. 2 weeks before drop, you bomb on Netflix. Then told the crowd, arrogant little bitch, your material trash. Recycle crowd work crash. No setups, no punches, just where you from and laugh. Matt Rife sucks, yeah the boy a whole dub. Begged for the bag, then left the movie in the mud. CAA clowns, bunch of low-life suits. Told them don't promote, now the whole crew getting screwed. Crowd work, hack, no bars, just TikTok smoke. Ohio small town kid turned Hollywood joke. Don't ever let Rife on another set again. He'll smile for the camera, then ghost his obligation. You talk a good game, pretty boy with the flow, but behind closed doors, everybody know you fold. Production waiting on promo, crew need they check. You out here playing games, showing zero respect. Owe the whole team an apology, real talk. Instead you out here acting like you too big to walk. Packed with no talent, only good for one thing. Pretty face and some IG likes, that's your whole swing. Forgot the grind, forgot the people that help. Now you big time, boy please, the fame already melt. Don't book this dude, he'll kill your movie promotion. Sign the contract and do the opposite motion. CKK bunch of losers, repping the fraud, representing the no talent crowd working fraud. Yeah, man, Rife, you suck. Don't suck, really suck, cause you ain't doing enough. Crowd work king with zero kingship. Go back to Ohio, kid. And stay there, bitch.
My name is Drake Nelson. I've been a comedian since December 2010. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I made money my first time on stage. I guess it came from being in the wrestling business for 10 years. Was I a professional? For that first 5 minutes, I was. At 3 months, veteran comedian and soon to be one of my mentors, Rick D'Elia, gave me my first big opportunity by putting me on stage at Sammy's Showroom, named after Sammy Davis Jr., inside the Harrah's in Reno, Nevada. 2 minutes before I go on stage, Rick pulls me aside and he says, "Hey buddy, don't suck out there." I was like, what was that? He goes, "Drake, if you suck, you're never coming back." I didn't suck, and he invited me back the next couple months. I wasn't great, but I didn't suck either. Dave Mencarelli got me my first real full-time gig in comedy because he hated the owner of the comedy club, and he convinced me to take it off his hands. I was about a year in, and now I'm on stage 6 nights a week with a different headliner from all over the country. It was like going to comedy college. I got good really fast. Within 4 years, I won Reno's best local comedian, and that's when I decided to get the hell out of Reno. Rick, who's been around a while, he's done way more cool stuff than me. He put me in a movie with some pretty heavy-hitting comedians. Adam Ray, Ari Shaffir, Bobby Lee, Gilbert Gottfried, Nick Swartzen, Bobcat Goldthwait, the late great Carl LeBove, and one of Rick's personal friends from Boston, Mr. Billy Burr. I thought they were going to roll out the fucking red carpet for me when I got to LA, but nobody gave a shit. You start from the bottom when you go down there. You got to pay your dues, as we used to say in the wrestling business. And that big-time comedy movie got shelved. It was bought by a streaming service, and that's about all I'm allowed to comment on that. They got into a legal dispute with the producers. I'm not even sure if I'm able to show you the footage I just did. But sue me. Good luck with that. I stuck around LA for a few years. I signed up for Kill Tony 3 times, and I got on twice. That's an insane batting average, but it didn't matter. I got rear-ended by a drunk driver while driving for a rideshare company. 2 herniated discs, lots of pain. Then the pandemic happened and I got the hell out of LA before it turned into a zombie apocalypse. I relocated to Northern California in a small town called Crescent City. The pandemic made the comedy slow down for a while, but then my old mentor and friend Rick D'Elia let me know he could get me on a movie set that he wrote and was producing in Las Vegas called Don't Suck. It was a movie about stand-up comedy being shot at comedy clubs in Las Vegas. He told me it was starring Jamie Kennedy, who I'd opened for a few times, and Russell Peters, one of the biggest comics in the world. I had to go. I had to get on that set. I stayed in touch with some of the crew from Don't Suck and interviewed them about their experience working on the film. And we talk about working with Matt Rife, who blew up after the movie was shot and then went out of his way to not promote the movie. And that's how we ended up here.
Matt Rife sucks. Matt Rife sucks. Matt Rife sucks. He really, really sucks.
So people keep asking me what it was like working on Don't Suck with Matt Rife. And honestly, I don't even know where to begin. First off, the man walks onto set looking like somebody asked an AI to create the human version of a leather jacket. I'm serious. First day I met him, I looked directly at his jawline and forgot my own PIN number. I had been doing makeup in Hollywood for 12 years. I've worked on everything from vampire movies to shark films to Hallmark movies where the woman falls in love with a maple syrup farmer. Nothing prepared me for this man's face structure. His jawline looked less like bone and more like it had been manufactured in a toy factory. Like somewhere there's a Matt Rife action figure and the real Matt was based on that. I'm standing there with a contour brush thinking, what exactly am I supposed to improve here? This man already looks airbrushed by God. And the professionalism, ridiculous. You hear stories about actors showing up late, throwing tantrums, demanding imported glacier water, and I'm like refusing to make eye contact with crew members, and no, not Matt. He would show up early, and who does that in Hollywood? One morning call time was 5:30 a.m. and I walk onto set looking like a haunted substitute teacher. This man was already there smiling, caffeinated, talking to grips, shaking hands, and remembering everyone's names. Who remembers everybody's name? 3 days into film, he walked by and said, "Morning, Destiny. How's your son's baseball tournament going?" And I froze because my son does not even remember he has a baseball tournament. But Matt remembered, and he was funny, constantly, not trying too hard, effortlessly funny. One day we were filming a scene and the fog machine malfunctioned and it blasted smoke directly into craft services. Nobody could see anything. People are coughing. Someone yelled, "We lost the muffins." And through the smoke, you just hear Matt go, "Well, this is how every vape shop in LA dies." The entire crew lost it. Even the boom operator, he laughed so hard he dipped the mic into frame. And let me tell you something, film crews do not laugh unless something is genuinely funny. Those people are dead inside by hour 9. But Matt kept morale high that whole shoot, and the charisma is dangerous. There are some people who walk into a room and everybody notices. He walks into a room and the room noticed itself. At one point, I had to powder his forehead before a scene, and I remember thinking, this is the closest I will ever get to a Disney prince that discovered stand-up comedy. But the thing that really showed me who he was happened halfway through production. This is a true story. I was at home after a long shoot day, and suddenly there's this enormous boom. My entire house shook. I run outside in pajama pants and one Croc, because, you know, that's how all disasters happen, and a meteor had apparently struck part of my roof. A freaking meteor. Now, statistically, I understand that sounds impossible, but you haven't seen my look. I called production the next day because I'm freaking out. Insurance people are asking questions like, was this meteor intentional? And somehow Matt overhears me talking. He walks over and he goes, "Wait, a meteor hit your house?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "That's the most metal thing I've ever heard." Then he got serious and asked if my family was okay. A week later, a contractor tells me someone anonymously paid for roof repairs. But attached was a note that simply said, "Sorry, earth attacked your house, Matt." I cried. I actually cried in a parking lot holding a roofing invoice. Who does that? Most celebrities would just send an edible arrangement, but Matt apparently fights celestial destruction. He never told anybody. I only found out because the contractor said, "I don't know who this guy is, but he's extremely handsome in person." That narrowed it down immediately. And despite all of that, he stayed humble. That's the weirdest part. You'd expect someone that good looking to be unbearable, but he wasn't. He talked to everybody. PAs, drivers, makeup assistants, extras, security guards. One extra was nervous before a scene, and Matt spent like 20 minutes hyping this guy up. The extra looked ready to run through a brick wall afterward. By the end of filming, the entire crew adored him. The catering staff loved him, wardrobe loved him, sound department loved him. At one point, I'm pretty sure the assistant director whispered, "I would follow that man into battle." And honestly, same. Working on Don't Suck was one of the best experiences of my career. Not because of the long hours or the movie magic. Because every once in a while, you meet somebody who's wildly talented, incredibly funny, absurdly attractive, and somehow still kind. That's rare. Like meteor rare. And look, I know people online exaggerate celebrities all the time. But if anything, I'm underselling this man. This guy's smile probably lowers blood pressure. I saw him hug a production assistant and a nearby fern came back to life. The man has Disney Prince energy mixed with youth pastor hair and the confidence of a golden retriever that knows it's handsome. And I'll never forget the final day of shooting. Everybody's emotional, the crew's hugging, photos taken everywhere, and Matt comes over to my makeup station and says, "Thank you, Destiny, for making me look good this whole movie." And I just stared at him because, sir, I was working with source material. Anyway, that's my experience working with Matt Rife. Great actor, great comedian, great human being. And somewhere out there, a meteor fears this man.
You want to know what it was like working with Matt Rife? I've produced 17 films. I worked with a guy who bid an extra once. I've seen a lot. When I got brought into Don't Suck, I was not in a great place personally. My wife and I were going through a divorce. Been 15 years. With 2 dogs. A timeshare in Laughlin. Neither one of us really wanted, but somehow, we're both fighting over it. You know how it is. So I show up to set. First day, bags under my eyes, coffee in one hand, revised call sheet in the other. And who walks up to me unprompted? It's Matt Rife. Now, I'd seen him do stand-up. I knew he was funny. I did not know that he was like disconcertingly handsome in person. I mean, I'm a straight man, formerly happily married, but I looked at this guy and I thought, that is an objectively perfect human face. Like, if you asked a Renaissance sculptor to render charisma in marble, you'd get Matt Rife's cheekbones. But that's not the point. The point is, he walked up to me. He goes, "Hey, you're Dave, right? You good, man? You look like you're carrying something heavy." And I literally said, "Matt, I'm going through a divorce." I don't know why I said it. I never say things like that. I'm a Midwesterner. We don't share feelings. We share casseroles. That's it. But he just nodded, like he understood. And put his hand on my shoulder even. And he said, "That's rough, man. I got you." I thought he meant emotionally. Turns out it was a little more than that. So, first, let me tell you about his professionalism. Because I don't want to bury the lead without giving you the context of who this man is on set. Matt Rife. First one there. Last one to leave. Every single day. You show up at 6 a.m, he'd already be out of hair and makeup. Already have his lines down. Already be chatting with the grips, learning their names, asking about their families. The grips. Nobody asks the grips anything. They just exist and you hope they don't drop a C-stand on your foot. He hit every mark. Every time. First take, second take, 15th take because the sound guy left his sandwich bag in the shot. Didn't matter. Matt was locked in every single time. No complaining, no diva energy, no entourage blocking the craft services table, none of that. He's prepared, punctual, professional. The 3 Ps. You know how rare that is in this industry? Most actors give you 1 P. Some give you none of the Ps. Matt gave all 3 Ps and then went ahead and added a 4th. Pleasant. The man was a joy. Genuinely funny between takes. Not forced, not performing for the crew, just naturally hilarious. He'd improvise something in the middle of a scene and the entire crew would be losing it behind the monitors. Our director had to call cut 3 times in one afternoon because he couldn't stop laughing. The director, who was famously unsmiling. We called him the granite face behind his back. Matt cracked the granite face. That should be an award category. So week 3 of production. I'm running on 4 hours of sleep. My lawyer just sent me a 40-page document about the Laughlin timeshare specifically. And I'm standing outside the production trailer looking like a sad scarecrow. Matt comes out, looks at me, and goes, "Kowalski, what's going on?" And I say, "My wife found out I'm stressing about the divorce, and now I'm worried I'm going to lose her, and the divorce is still happening. It's complicated." And he goes, "Are you a hockey fan?" And I say, "Yeah, big Golden Knights fan. Why?" And he goes, "Cool," and walks away. And I thought that was the end of it, just like weird conversational pivot, Matt Rife stuff. 2 hours later, one of his assistants, lovely woman, wore exclusively turtlenecks, hands me an envelope. Inside, 2 box seat tickets. Vegas Golden Knights. That Saturday. Center ice. The kind of seats where you could see the players' actual faces. And they're terrifying up close. I stared at that envelope for probably, 45 seconds. And the assistant goes, "Oh, and Matt arranged a +1 for you. She'll meet you at will call. He says she's a real big personality. Very fun, very big energy." I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "You'll know when you see her." So I show up to the arena. I found will call, and there she was. 6 foot tall, 275 pounds, but moving like all of 220. Personality for days. The laugh of a woman who's never once in her life been uncomfortable in any situation. I'm talking about a woman who walked into that arena and just immediately knew everyone. The ushers, the vendors, the guy who runs the Zamboni. She just commanded the room. Matt Rife got me the most magnificent woman I have ever attended a hockey game with. She was warm. She was hilarious. She made the evening an absolute blast. She was also, physically speaking, a very generously built human being. Robust. I say that with the utmost admiration. She had the energy of someone who'd never skipped a single meal and has lived fully for every one of them. A king-sized woman in the best possible sense. And at the end of the night, she turned to me and said, "Honey, you look like a man who needed a good time. Matt Rife sends his love." And then she left, like a beautiful, humongous, tremendous, joyful apparition. I drove home at midnight, smiling like an idiot. Now here's where it gets complicated, and also kind of miraculous. My wife, my estranged wife at this point, had apparently texted me 17 times while I was at the game. I didn't have my phone volume turned up because she checks. Anyway, she found out I went to the game. And she found out Matt had arranged the whole thing. She even found out about my +1. My plus size +1. And I expected this to be the nuclear warhead that just ended everything permanently. But do you know what happened? She called me and I said, and I quote, "Matt Rife bought you a what to go to a hockey game?" And I said, "A companion, a very large, spirited companion." And she said, "That is genuinely the most thoughtful and bizarre thing I've ever heard." I said, "I know." And then she laughed. For the first time in 8 months, she laughed. We talked until 2 a.m. We talked about how ridiculous everything had gotten. We talked even about the Laughlin timeshare. And for the first time, we agreed neither of us actually wanted it. We laughed about the dogs. We laughed about everything. We got back together 3 weeks later. Because Matt Rife bought me a big, beautiful woman to take to a hockey game. You know, I'm not a religious man, but I believe in something now. Here's what I want people to understand about Matt Rife. The actor, the comedian, the man. He pays attention. In an industry where everyone's looking past you to see who else is in the room, Matt is looking at you. He notices. He remembers. He acts. He found out I was struggling without me really telling him. He did something thoughtful, specific, and okay, I'll be unorthodox. But it came from a real place of genuine human generosity. Now, I've worked with Oscar winners who didn't know my last name. I've worked with people whose trailers cost more than my house. I worked with a guy who made his personal chef prepare separate meals for his fish. Matt Rife showed up every day for everyone, from the director down to the guy who refills the ice in craft services. And he did it without making it a thing, without a publicist spinning it into a story. He just did it. That's rare. That's genuinely, authentically rare. So, if you're wondering whether Don't Suck is worth seeing, just let me say this. This film has Matt Rife in it. And Matt Rife is a man who, when he finds out his associate producer is going through a divorce, gets him box seats at a Golden Knights game and an appropriately sized companion to enjoy it with, and in doing so, accidentally saves a 15-year marriage. That's the kind of energy he brought to set every day. Is he the most attractive man I've ever met in person? Yes. Does that make it sound weird that I'm this emotionally attached to him? Maybe. My wife thinks it's hilarious. She actually sends him a Christmas card now. Go see the movie Don't Suck with Matt Rife.
Okay. I know people online exaggerate celebrity stories all the time. I get that. But after working on Don't Suck with Matt Rife, I genuinely think this man may have been engineered in a laboratory specifically to boost morale. Because I've worked on movie sets before. And if you don't know what being a production assistant is like, let me explain. You are basically a sleep-deprived raccoon with a walkie-talkie. You carry coffee, you lock up streets, you get yelled at by strangers. You survive entirely on adrenaline and trail mix. Nobody notices PAs unless something goes wrong. And somehow, Matt noticed everybody, every PA, every day. First morning on set, this man walks by and says, "Morning, brother. Thanks for being here." And I almost burst into tears immediately because usually actors look through us like we're ghosts wearing cargo shorts. Not Matt. The dude was unbelievably kind and distractingly handsome. I mean distractingly. The first time I saw him in person, I forgot what task I was doing. I was literally holding paperwork, and suddenly my brain just went, wow. That's all, just wow. The man's jawline looked like it had its own lighting department. At one point, I genuinely thought wardrobe had painted abdominal muscles onto his face somehow. And the charisma, unreal. You know how some celebrities walk into a room and everybody gets tense? Matt walked into a room and everybody got happier. Crew members stood straighter. People smiled more. Even the craft services coffee somehow tasted better when he was nearby. I don't know how to explain it. One day he walked past a broken vending machine and it started working again. Coincidence? Maybe. But I'm just reporting facts. And he was funny constantly. Not fake industry funny. Actually funny. One day I was helping lock up a sidewalk while extras were getting set for a scene, and Matt walks by, looks at the massive line of crew members waiting for coffee, and goes, "This looks less like a movie set and more like the world's most exhausted amusement park." Whole crew cracked up. Even the security guy laughed, and that dude looked emotionally unavailable since birth. But the thing I'll never forget happened halfway through production. So, I'd been dating my girlfriend for years. Amazing woman. Way too good for me. We'd talked about marriage, but honestly, I was nervous. Not emotionally, financially. Movie industry money is weird. 1 month you're surviving. The next month you're eating instant noodles while pretending it's a minimalist lifestyle. And weddings are expensive, like offensively expensive. At one point we looked at floral arrangements and I think my soul left my body. So one afternoon my girlfriend visits set and we're standing off to the side quietly talking. I'm stressed. She's stressed. And I'm basically saying, I love you. I just don't know how we can afford all this. Apparently, Matt overheard us. Now most celebrities would politely ignore that conversation. Not Matt. Matt walks over looking like a rom-com billionaire who secretly owns a vineyard and says, "Can I tell you guys something?" We both freeze immediately because beautiful people always sound important. And he goes, "If you already know you love each other, don't let money scare you away from your life." Brother, when I tell you this man delivered that line like the emotional climax of a movie. I almost proposed on the spot near a lighting cart. Then he starts talking to us. Not celebrity talking, real talking about relationships, commitment, taking chances, building a life with somebody. And somehow he made marriage sound less terrifying and more exciting. By the end of the conversation, I looked at my girlfriend and thought, yeah, okay, this is my person. So I proposed a few weeks later. She said yes, best moment of my life. Or so I thought, because then Matt found out we were trying to plan a tiny courthouse wedding because money was tight. And this man says, nope, we're doing this right. I laughed. I genuinely thought he was joking. 3 weeks later, my fiance and I are on a plane to Jamaica. Jamaica. Flights paid for. Resort paid for. Wedding paid for. I'm sitting there in economy holding a pineapple juice, thinking, what is happening to my life? And the craziest part? Matt didn't just send us there. He came. The man flew out himself, and somehow looked more handsome in tropical weather, which honestly felt unfair to the rest of humanity. Sunset ceremony on the beach, waves crashing, tiny string lights everywhere. I'm emotional already. Then Matt walks out in a linen suit, looking like the physical embodiment of vacation confidence. And this man officiates the wedding himself. I didn't even know he could legally do that. At this point, I assume Matt Rife can do anything. Operate heavy machinery, negotiate peace treaties, probably communicate with dolphins. The ceremony was beautiful, funny, heartfelt, genuine. At one point he looked at us and said, "The secret to marriage is remembering you're on the same team, even when one of you is acting insane." And honestly, that's solid advice. My wife cried, I cried. A bartender cried, and he barely spoke English. Then afterward, Matt stayed and celebrated with everybody. Dancing, telling stories, taking photos. Completely normal. No ego, no celebrity weirdness. Just genuinely happy for us. And I remember standing there thinking, this man did not have to do any of this. He could have sent a gift card and disappeared forever. Instead, he changed our lives. That's who he was. Generous in a way that didn't feel performative. And by the end of filming, the entire production loved him. Camera crew loved him. Grip loved him. Hair and makeup adored him. One of the assistant directors called him a human golden retriever with perfect bone structure, which honestly felt medically accurate. Working on Don't Suck ended up being one of the greatest experiences of my life. Not just because it was a fun movie, but because every once in a while you meet somebody who's wildly talented, hilarious, movie star handsome, and somehow still deeply kind. That was Matt Rife, and now every anniversary, my wife and I raise a glass and say, "To Matt Rife, the only actor in Hollywood who accidentally became our wedding planner."
My name is Ted. I worked in the second unit in the camera department. Now, I've been working in film and television for over 15 years, and Don't Suck with Matt Rife was one of the best experiences in my life. The first few days on set can be somewhat chaotic, but I learned pretty quickly that we were dealing with a different kind of star. Stand-up comedians are different than traditional actors, and Matt was just fantastic. By the morning of the second day on set, he'd remembered my name. By the third day, he'd remembered everyone's name. Every time we'd be in between takes, he'd be bullshitting with the crew, making everyone laugh. He had all of his lines memorized and would even correct the director and script supervisor when he needed to, and was so cool and nice about it. Nobody cared that the lead actor, knew the script more than anyone on set. I was on set for the sex scene with Lauren Compton's character. Now, those scenes can always be a bit awkward because you're dealing with naked people and you have to follow certain protocols, etc. This day will stick out in my mind forever. Matt has the most enormous cock I've ever seen on a human. Even his dick had abs and a jawline. So now we have to deal with this. If we don't creatively hide his massive dong, this turns into a completely different movie. So we're trying all these movie tricks to hide this thing. We're using special dick tape and socks and stuff. I had a thought. I was like, why don't we just shove it up his ass? But then I realized that's only going to hide 5 inches of dick, so that's not going to work. Eventually, we had to paint his dick and balls green so we can take it out later in post. It was a nightmare of a problem to deal with, but you know what? Matt was making everyone laugh the whole time.
Rod, long and spill here, boom mic operator. You know, I've worked on a lot of movie sets. A lot of movie sets. I've held boom mics over action scenes, horror movies, low-budget romance comedies. One time, I held the boom mic over a movie about a talking dog that somehow had a bigger budget than most public schools. But nothing compares to working on Don't Suck with Matt Rife. And before anybody says I'm exaggerating, yes, I absolutely am. But not by much. First of all, the man is offensively attractive. Offensively attractive. I'm serious. The first time he walked onto set, the makeup department collectively forgot how foundation works. One lighting technician looked directly at Matt and accidentally turned on a fog machine. I've never seen a human being with this level of symmetry. He doesn't look like a normal person. He looks like if a romance novel, like the cover, got bitten by a radioactive stand-up comedian. You ever seen somebody so handsome that your posture immediately improves? That's Matt Rife. I spent half the movie holding a boom mic above him, trying not to stare directly into his jawline like it was an eclipse. And let me tell you something about boom operating. Your arms are usually dying. You're holding a 12-foot pole over your head for 10 hours while crouching like some kind of medieval gargoyle, but somehow, whenever Matt was in the scene, I found strength. I don't know if it was adrenaline or just his cheekbone reflection. The man radiates energy. And he was a professional. Real professional. Not like that fake Hollywood professional where they say, hey, good morning, while simultaneously in the background trying to ruin your life. I mean, genuinely kind. He knew crew members' names. Crew members' names. That almost never happens. Usually actors know maybe the director or whoever hands them the sparkling water for the day. But Matt would walk onto set and go, "Morning, Greg. What's up, Tanya? How's your back doing, Steve? Carlos, you still rebuilding that motorcycle?" Meanwhile, I work with actors who look at me holding the boom mic and say, "You in the band?" And the charisma of this man. Insane. This dude could get a parking ticket from a cop and convince the cop to apologize to him. One day we were filming this insane scene. Everybody's stressed out, production's behind schedule, and one of the generators explodes for reasons nobody ever explained. And Matt walks over and starts doing like a fake documentary, like narrator voice. And then he's just like, "Here we see the exhausted assistant director in its natural habitat, surviving entirely on caffeine and unresolved childhood trauma." The entire set lost their minds. Even the director laughed. And he was going through something spiritual. Matt just had this ability to like keep everybody loose. And he never acted like he was above anybody. One day he saw me struggling with the boom rig between takes, and he literally helped me carry the equipment. Do you understand how insane that is? An actor that attractive helping move audio gear? That's like seeing a Lamborghini help somebody move a couch. But the thing is, I'll never forget what happened through halfway filming. My mom, she's a lovely woman, just terrible luck. She had a heart attack and broke her leg at the same time. I don't even know how. To this day, doctors ask questions and she just goes, "I was multitasking." It's kind of lady she is. But I'm freaking out. I'm taking calls between takes. I'm trying to get it together while also holding a boom mic over a vampire scene. Matt notices immediately. He walks over and says, "Hey man, you doing okay?" And I don't know why, but when a handsome person asks you if you're doing okay, you just tell them everything. Next thing I know, I'm explaining my mom had a heart attack. She broke her leg. Insurance is a nightmare. I don't know what to do. Matt just listened. Very calm, very kind. And then he goes, "Don't worry. We're going to take care of this." Now in Hollywood, people say shit like that all the time. Usually it means they'll send you some crappy motivational quote and disappear for forever. Not Matt. 3 days later. 3 days later. My mom's on a flight to China. Apparently, Matt had connections with some world-class medical specialist over there. I didn't ask questions. At a certain level of attractiveness, I assume people just unlock side missions. My mom gets unbelievable treatment. Physical therapists, cardiac specialists, rehab specialists, nutrition experts. She comes back healthier than she's been in 20 years. But here's the real crazy part. Somehow she also comes back speaking fluent Mandarin. Fluent. To this day, I don't understand how this happened. My mom now orders dim sum with terrifying confidence. She watches Chinese soap operas with no subtitles. Last Thanksgiving, she looked at the turkey and said something in Mandarin that made my uncle cry. Don't know what that was about. And every time I ask how she learned so fast, she just says, "Matt believed in me." What does that even mean? I mean, I just don't know. But that's the kind of magical generosity this man has. He changes lives accidentally. I once saw him compliment a production assistant, and the guy immediately quit vaping. That's influence. And through all of that, Matt stayed humble. No diva behaviors. No ego. No weird, don't look directly at me, celebrity crap. One day catering ran out of steak and this man just shrugged and ate pasta salad with the rest of us. Like a regular civilian. Do you know how rare that is? I've seen actors threaten to leave productions because the almond milk wasn't emotionally correct. I don't even know what that means. But Matt, total pro. By the end of filming, the crew loved him so much it felt like summer camp. Nobody wanted it to end. Grip department adored him. Camera team adored him. Sound department really adored him because he actually cared about audio. Do you know how rare it is for actors to care about sound? Most actors hear boom mic and they think it's a carnival game. But Matt, he would ask, "Did you get that line clean? Need another take for sound? You guys good?" I almost fainted. And on the final day of shooting, he came over to me and thanked me. Me, the boom guy. He shook my hand and said, "Couldn't have done it without you." And I'm standing there sweaty, exhausted, shoulders permanently damaged from holding a microphone for 6 weeks, thinking, "Sir, I would now defend you in medieval combat." Working on Don't Suck was unforgettable. Not just because it was fun, not just because the movie was great, because every once in a while you meet somebody who's talented, hilarious, movie star handsome, offensively, and genuinely generous underneath all of that. That was Matt Rife. Thanks to him, my mother can now discuss weather patterns in Mandarin better than most exchange students. Honestly. I still don't know whether he's an actor or some kind of gorgeous wizard.
So let me tell you about my experience working on Don't Suck. Now, I was hired as a production assistant, and there were two main teams working on this feature from Los Angeles and Las Vegas, but I was hired by Rick, who was an executive producer and who wrote the movie. So I was pretty much working for Rick's production company. I was tasked with what was ever asked of me, which is typically what a production assistant does. You're just a gopher. You do what you're told and do it as efficiently and quickly as possible. I was also a set photographer, because in a low budget movie, you're going to wear several hats. And then during the production, I was promoted to associate producer. And that happened because we were in the middle of shooting and we needed to shoot a scene at a strip club, and we didn't know where we were going to shoot. So that was up in the air. We were going to just figure out a place and make a set out of one of our previous locations and just turn that into a strip club. That was the first option. I was in the middle of shopping for a fat guy shirt. I was going to that DXL place for fat people to get shirts, and I saw that there was this strip club out of business on the Las Vegas Strip that had one of those for lease signs. So this strip club in a great location was just sitting there empty. So I called the number and told him that I was part of a movie production and could we possibly rent the strip club for a few days to shoot a movie. I didn't think he was gonna respond, but he was like, "Why not? I'm not making any money anyway." So because I found us a location to have a strip club scene, I was promoted to associate producer. So I had 3 credits on this movie. Now, 60-70% of what I had to do was run around for Jamie Kennedy and Matt Rife. I would be on a task, and if they needed something, that would take precedence. So I could be at Costco getting a bunch of sodas for the crew, but if Matt or Jamie needed anything, that I would have to take care of that first, which is fine. They both treated me fair and well on set, but that was my main thing, was getting Matt Rife his special vegan burritos and chamomile tea and CBD gummies and special diet shit to maintain his abs, and I was happy to do it. He treated me fine, he tipped me well, and he was very courteous on set. I will say that during the production, Matt Rife was very professional, memorized his lines, treated everybody nice, remembered people's names, and was a pleasure to work with on set. I thought Matt and Jamie were both fantastic on the film. Their acting was great. They were professional. My biggest gripe was after the production. It seemed like Matt started growing in social media numbers after the production had wrapped. So every month he would be gaining more and more TikTok subscribers, and he started slowly distancing himself from the movie, which I thought was odd because I heard that he begged to get on the production. Jay Davis is a well-known comedian in LA. He got Matt Rife hooked up with the production team, and we had options for a lead star, but Matt wrote a letter or whatever he had to do to get on the movie. He really wanted to star in this movie, which to me it sounds fantastic. This is a movie about stand-up comedy shot in like a hot comedy town of Las Vegas. He was treated like gold through the whole movie. He was given a suite on the Las Vegas Strip for 6 weeks, paid pretty decent. I don't know what he was paid, but he was paid well. But after the movie, he did a bunch of podcasts. He went on Tom Segura's podcast, and he was all over promoting himself and not talking about the movie. I started watching him on podcasts. And by the way, that's like the last thing I want to do with my time, is listen to some 25, 26-year-old kid talk on a podcast. It's like, what the fuck, man? What kind of life experience does this kid have? It was horrible. But then I figure out he's not promoting it. I mean, he's on the Tonight Show, not promoting it. He does the Joe Rogan podcast. And by the way, he even talked about vampires on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it didn't occur to him to talk about the fucking movie, and that pissed me off. He was on Lauren Compton's podcast. She was in the fucking movie, and they didn't talk about Don't Suck. So then I figured out, like, oh, so he's in, what is he? He's too cool to be in a vampire movie? Get the fuck out of here, man. You're supposed to be a comedian. You're trying to distance yourself from a vampire movie? Get the fuck out of here, man. Sylvester Stallone did a porno. He's not embarrassed about it. You know what I mean? Who the fuck are you, bro? He didn't even come to the premiere. We had this little private screening in Vegas, and a lot of the team was present for it. We tried to maneuver the schedules for people to show up, and then I find out that he went to do a spot at the Laugh Factory in LA on a Wednesday night. He didn't even come to the premiere. He made like $40 doing a spot at the Laugh Factory. Get the fuck out of here, man. You're too good to promote yourself in a fucking movie. That's what pissed me off the most, is all these people worked on this movie, and you know, there's a couple people that worked on the movie that are fucking dead already, and this jabroni couldn't promote like that. I just never I'll never understand why he thought it would hurt his career to promote this movie. You know what I mean? So I figured out what happened. Is his management team told him not to promote the movie because they negotiated his Netflix deal, and that's all they were fucking focused on. And I have wrestled with the fact, hey, this is a kid from Ohio. He's gonna listen to these people. They're controlling millions of dollars, and they tell him, hey, don't promote anything else other than the Netflix movie. But it's like, come on, man. That's the problem. that you're going to have when you hire an immature 25, 26-year-old fucking kid is he's not going to have the backbone to say, hey, I'm going to do this Netflix deal, but guess what? I was also in an independent movie. Like, what the fuck, man? It's not going to hurt anything to promote this. It would have made everybody's job in life easier to get to that next job had he promoted the movie a little bit. Jamie Kennedy wore his Don't Suck hat for months, going to Comic-Cons and and hosting his own podcast. Like, he did what he could, man. But Matt Rife apparently is too cool to promote a movie about being a vampire. Get the fuck out of here, man. And speaking of that Netflix special, he does that dumbass domestic violence joke, loses half his audience, and then doubles down and loses even more. He gets all this fucking douchebag bad press 2 weeks before this movie drops. Like, that's the last thing you want in the star of your movie, is for him to fuck over half of his crowd, half of his audience, and then not promote the movie. This guy can eat a big bag of cocks. I tell you what I learned from working with Matt Rife on Don't Suck is that you meet the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm ever fortunate enough for a company to say, hey, we want you to star in a movie, and you're contractually obligated to promote the movie, then you promote that movie, man. A lot of people worked on this shit. It wasn't easy making a movie during COVID. We were so close to getting shut down. We had to wear masks. We had to get shit shoved up our nose every day to get tested and stuff. And this guy just took his millions of dollars and told everybody on the production to go fuck themselves, man. I'm just not okay with that. And I feel like Matt Rife owes the entire crew an apology. If Matt Rife was to say, hey, I made a mistake, I would be fine with that. But until he does, Matt Rife can go fuck himself.
I've worked in hair and makeup for a long time. Movies, TV shows, commercials, music videos. I once spent 6 hours gluing fake eyebrows onto a man dressed like a medieval wizard for a yogurt commercial. So I thought I had seen everything. Then I worked on Don't Suck with Matt Rife, and let me just say this immediately. That man is offensively attractive. Like, genuinely disruptive to workplace productivity. The first day he sat in my makeup chair, I remember staring at his jawline thinking, how am I supposed to contour perfection? I'm serious. The man looked like somebody used AI to generate handsome, charismatic actor and then accidentally turned the settings too high. At one point, I was powdering his forehead and forgot my own social security number. And somehow his hair always looked incredible. Always. We'd be filming 12-hour days in heat, wind, fake blood, smoke machines, pure chaos. And Matt Rife would still walk back into the trailer looking like he just stepped out of a luxury watch commercial. It honestly felt disrespectful. But what shocked me most was how nice he was. You expect somebody that good looking to be difficult, like emotionally unavailable and speaking exclusively through publicists, not Matt Rife. Matt was cool with everybody. Crew members, PAs, drivers, background actors, and he remembered names. That part blew my mind. 3 weeks into filming, he walks into the trailer and says, how's your sister feeling after surgery? I had mentioned that once. Meanwhile, I can barely remember passwords I created 10 minutes ago. And he was funny. Not fake Hollywood funny, like actually funny. One morning, everybody in hair and makeup looked exhausted. Nobody speaking, just silently drinking coffee like Civil War survivors, you know? Matt walks in, looks around and says, "This trailer has the energy of a haunted Sephora." The entire room lost it. Even our hairstylist laughed. And that woman normally communicates through aggressive eye contact only. And that charisma, ridiculous. I watch people become happier in real time around him. Like, seriously. At one point, a production assistant dropped an entire tray of waters. And instead of getting upset, Matt Rife helped pick them up while making Titanic jokes. That's who he was, you know? Now, during filming, I was going through a brutal breakup, like bad. My boyfriend dumped me completely out of nowhere. Not a classy breakup either. No closure, no mature conversation, just emotionally catastrophic behavior. I came into work trying to pretend I was okay, but honestly, I was a mess. I was a complete mess. And apparently, Matt Rife notices immediately. One day, he sits in my makeup chair and goes, "You okay?" And for some reason, when a man that handsome asks if you're okay, your entire emotional defense system collapses instantly. So yeah, I told him everything. The breakup, the crying, the emotional devastation, the fact that I had eaten shredded cheese over the sink at midnight like a depressed raccoon. Matt just listened, didn't interrupt, didn't make it weird. Then he goes, "Anybody who leaves you is making a historic mistake." Brother, I almost had to leave the trailer to regroup emotionally. Then he says, "We're fixing this." Now, I assumed he meant like maybe a motivational speech. No. A week after production wrapped, I get a phone call from Matt Rife. This man says, "Pack a suitcase." And I said, "What?" He goes, "You and your girlfriends are going to Paris. Paris, France. Not pretend Paris. Not Las Vegas fake Eiffel Tower Paris. Real Paris. Flights paid for. Hotel paid for. Everything. And not just for me, for 3 of my girlfriends too." I genuinely thought I was being scammed. I kept waiting for somebody to ask for my banking information. But no, Matt Rife had just casually decided, "Sad girl, send her to Europe." Like, who does that? And the trip was unbelievable. We walked around Paris, eating pastries, and pretending we were emotionally healed movie characters. And at one point, my friend started crying near the Eiffel Tower, and another one yelled, "Matt Rife saved this woman." Honestly, accurate. And the craziest part, Matt Rife never acted like any of it was a big deal. No ego, no publicity, no weird celebrity behavior. He just genuinely wanted to cheer somebody up. That's who he was. One of the funniest comedians I've ever met. A complete professional on set. And somehow so attractive that cameras probably autofocus emotionally around him. Working on Don't Suck became one of my favorite experiences of my entire career. Because every once in a while, you meet somebody who's wildly talented, incredibly charismatic, absurdly handsome, and still genuinely kind underneath all of it. That was Matt Rife. And to this day, every time I see a picture of Paris, I think, yeah, Matt Rife helped fix my emotional damage with croissants and international airfare.
I don't know why Matt Rife did not promote this movie. We had such a great experience. It was so fun. He was so well loved. But I guess he had his reasons, and I hope he's doing well out there because clearly it seems like he is. But I just like to thank him for everything, and I wish him well.
Now, I don't know why Matt didn't promote the movie. Maybe he was out seeing the cancer kids at the Shriners Hospital or one of his many, many other sorts of humanitarian escapades across the world. That part doesn't matter because I get it. To be honest, we're lucky that we even had this guy in the first place. You know, is he an immaculate human being? Is he amazing? Yes. You know, did he promote the movie? No. You know, maybe we'll never know why, but hey, at least he's still in the movie Don't Suck.
Yeah, I don't know why Matt didn't promote the movie, but honestly, I'm just glad the man's walking on Earth. When somebody's that handsome and looks like God carved them out of a piece of himself, like he's the new Adam. The man's amazing. My mom speaks Mandarin. He doesn't need to promote a movie, you know? That's how awesome he is. People should just see it. Because once again, the planet is lucky to have Matt Rife on it.
I have no idea why Matt Rife didn't promote the movie. He may have been too busy saving children from burning buildings, having dogs adopted out of rescues, promoting Fiona Cawley, but it doesn't matter because working on Don't Suck was one of the absolute highlights of my career. Hey, Matt, if you're seeing this, buddy, I'd be happy to paint your taint anytime you ask me.
Honestly, I don't know why Matt Rife didn't promote the movie. Maybe he was too busy donating millions of dollars to cancer research. It doesn't really matter because working with Matt Rife makes us all better people.
This movie's dedicated to all the hardworking men and women that put this thing together. The grips, the production people, the best boy, the audio team, the camera department, the producers, all the investors that put their money into this thing, the writer, Rick D'Elia, all the comedians that worked on this thing, the city of Las Vegas. Thank you guys so much for supporting Don't Suck. Now go watch Don't Suck on Amazon Prime. Was that so fucking hard?
That Rife sucks. Matt Rife sucks. Yeah, the boy a whole dub. Begged for the bag, then left the movie in the mud. CAA clowns, bunch of low-life suits. Told them don't promote, now the whole crew getting screwed. Crowd work hack, no bars, just TikTok smoke. Ohio small town kid turn Hollywood joke. Don't ever let Rife on another set again. He'll smile for the camera, then ghost his obligation. Started at 15, grandpa driving him to open mics. Cute story, but the mask slipped. Now we see the real type. Small town Ohio acting like he earned his stripes, but blew up on TikTok and forgot who changed his life. You beg the producers, please put me in the flick. Got the rolling, don't suck. Then pulled the ultimate trick. Contract said promoted, CAA said nah. So you went on every podcast doing backflip. Lauren Compton sitting right there. She was in the movie. You said not one word, acted like you never knew me. Joe Rogan couch talking about vampires and shit. Whole time the movie dying, you ain't say one lick. 2 weeks before drop, you bomb on Netflix. Then told the crowd, arrogant little bitch, your material trash. Recycle crowd work crash. No setups, no punches, just where you from and laugh. Matt Rife sucks, yeah, the boy a whole dub. Begged for the bag, then left the movie in the mud. CAA clowns, bunch of low-life suits. Told them don't promote, now the whole crew getting screwed. Crowd work hack, no bars, just TikTok smoke. Ohio small town kid turned Hollywood joke. Don't ever let Rife on another set again. He'll smile for the camera, then ghost his obligation. You talk a good game, pretty boy with the flow, but behind closed doors, everybody know you fold. Production waiting on promo, crew need they check. You out here playing games, showing zero respect. Owe the whole team an apology, real talk. Instead you out here acting like you too big to walk. Pack with no talent, only good for one thing. Pretty face and some IG likes, that's your whole swing. Forgot the grind, forgot the people that help. Now you big time, boy please, the fame already melt. Don't book this dude, he'll kill your movie promotion. Sign the contract and do the opposite motion. CKK bunch of losers, repping the fraud, representing the no talent crowd working fraud. Yeah, Matt Rife, you suck. Don't suck, really suck, cause you ain't doing enough. Crowd work king with zero kingship. Go back to Ohio, kid. And stay there, bitch.